Find the equation of the tangent line to the function f of x equals 1 over x at the point -2, -1/2. Of course, here we realize that, f of -2, right? Once you plug the -2 in here, right, we do get the -1/2. So that's just what this is saying. It's just a point on the line, on this graph, right? Well, let's take a look at the sketch of this graph, okay? So now we're just going to do a rough sketch, okay? So not really like an exact sketch here, okay? But this graph, it's 1 over x, so it's going to look a little something like this. We got, it's a rational function, so we got a vertical asymptote, horizontal asymptote here, right? So what this is saying is that here's the point, -2, -1/2, right? That's that point, -2, -1/2. And what we want to do is we want to find the slope of this tangent line, right? The line that touches the graph right exactly at that one point, okay? So how are we going to do that? Well, we use what is called the difference quotient, right? So now we use the point -2 here, so f of -2 plus h, right, minus f of -2 and all of this divided by h. Okay, and what we want to do at the very end is we want to let h equal 0. Okay, so as h becomes really small, okay, we're going to find this difference quotient here. And the result should be a number. Right? We're just going to get a number as our final result. So let's go ahead and plug everything in, right? What is f of -2 plus h? Well, we just plug in, right, the negative, let's use a different color here, I guess, right? So f of -2 plus h is just going to be 1 over -2 plus h. Right? We just replace this with -2 plus h. And then we're going to subtract from that f of -2. Well, in this case, we actually know what f of -2 is, right? It's -1/2. And we're going to divide all of this by h. So our next step then is just to do the algebra, right? Combine like terms, simplify as much as we can. Okay, now this does become +1/2, right? So let's see, 1 over -2 plus h plus 1/2. All of this divided by h. So here we have what is called a complex fraction. Right? So as a complex fraction, we do want to combine these, right? We want to get these into one term. Okay? So basically, can we add 1 over -2 plus h plus 1/2? And to get the LCD, right? In this case, the LCD is just, well, 2 times -2 plus h. Okay, so we're going to multiply this fraction by 2. That should be a +2. And then we're going to multiply this fraction, right, by the -2 plus h. So -2 plus h over the LCD now. Okay, so notice what happens. We get 2 plus -2 plus h. So this actually ends up just equaling h over 2 times -2 plus h. Okay. So now we'll go back here, right? So we know what this part equals, right? We just did that work on the side here, okay? So we end up with h over 2 times -2 plus h. But notice we still have this divided by h down here. And actually, notice what happens, right? If we sort of change this into the division problem using this symbol, right, divided by h, okay, it's divided by h over 1 essentially, right? But we never divide by fractions, right? We always multiply by the reciprocal. So we get h over 2 times -2 plus h times 1 over h. Now look at what happens here, right? The h's cancel out. So we are just left with 1 over 2 times -2 plus h. Right? Notice what happens when h is equal to 0 here. When h is equal to 0, this part is equal to 0 here, so what do we end up with here? -1/4. What does a -1/4 mean? Well, that's the slope of this line here, right? At this point, -2, -1/2, we draw the tangent line. The slope of this line is -1/4. Okay? So the question does say to give the equation of this line here, right? So in order to write the equation of the line, we just use the point slope formula, right? Y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. We know the slope, right? The slope is -1/4. And we know the point, right? We got the coordinates right here. So we'll just plug everything in. Y minus -1/2 is equal to -1/4 x minus, or that just becomes a +2 here, okay? So we get y plus 1/2 equals negative 1/4 x. Just see this becomes minus 1/2. So when we subtract the 1/2 over here, right? We're going to subtract the 1/2 over. We get y equals negative 1/4 x. And this is just going to become a minus 1 when you subtract the 1/2 here. Yeah, so what does that mean? It means that the equation of this green line now, right, is y equals negative 1/4 x minus 1.